The final lesson on Unit 1, Chapter 6. Let's begin by chanting the prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaurtushe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Gandha Radha Gandha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishamano Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are at chapter 6, almost the conclusive part of it. The last 7 shlokas are left. And then after discussing that, we will do a discussion on the yoga ladder. So that's a very important topic in Bhagavad-gita. It will be a summarized overview study of chapter 3, 4, 5, 6 to understand the progress of a yogi on the spiritual path. And after that, we'll have some reflections from the students about the experience they had in Unit 1. Let's go for our Mangalacharan on Bhagavad-gita. Namostu te vyasa vishala buddhe Fullaravindayata patra netre Yena tvaya bharata taila purnaha Prajvalito jnanamaya pradipaha Prapanna parijataya Totra vaitraikapanaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamrita Duhe Namaha. If you remember, last time we stopped at that point when Arjuna was asking Krishna this question. If there is someone who has taken to a spiritual path but has not yet become successful on it and has deviated from that path, just like a small piece of cloud gets disconnected from a big piece of cloud and becomes lost in the sky. So what happens to such a yogi? What is the future of such a yogi? That's what Arjuna asked. And Krishna told, whoever does good is never overcome by evil. We discussed that in verse 40 of this chapter. So we'll again look at that verse, and then after that we'll go through one very interesting explanation given by Srila Prabhupada in the purport of that verse. Looking at 6.40, Shri Bhagavana Uvacha Partha Naiveha Namutra Vinashastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Tata Gacchati. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pritha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities, does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Quite reassuring for those who are on the path of goodness. Now, let's look at the classification which is given here in the purport for the human society. Sripad says that if you look at the entire humanity, of course, this count of population was not given by Srila Prabhupada. This is what we have taken from Google. So the current population count approximately, as what the research says, is around 7.97 billion people. So that's the entire humanity. That can be classified in two categories. One is non-regulated and the other is regulated. Now you can understand very easily. Regulation on the basis of what? If I ask you this question, regulation on the basis of what? What will be the answer? Regulated, non-regulated. So regulation on the basis of what? You can put the answer in the chat box. That will save more time. Sense gratification? No. I mean, you regulate people on the basis of Vedas. Yes, Anju Mataji said Vedas, the scriptures. So regulation on the basis of the scriptures. So there are two categories, regulated, non-regulated. Who are non-regulated? The definition is engaged in simply bestial sense gratification without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation. Those people are not aware that there is a next life. And even if they're aware there is a next life, they're not interested in spiritual salvation, which means they're not interested in spiritual growth. They're only interested in material growth. That's called non-regulated. And the next is regulated. They follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures. For that, they must know the scriptures. If they don't know the scriptures, how will they follow? Yes, they may follow if they belong to a culture or tradition which has been following the scriptures, but that would be following just out of some formality, but not really knowing why am I following that, right? Isn't it? Just for the sake of following it, but not really knowing why. So majority of the people, they belong to the category of non-regulated, majority. Because the purpose is only and only material development. And very few people come to the second block, which is regulated, right? Now, non-regulated can again be classified in three types: civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak. But they are all non-regulated. So you see, you might have heard people or seen people comment on others. He is not a civilized person, right? But that understanding and that outlook of civilization and non-civilization as per the scriptures, that is all non-regulated, outside the Vedic civilization. So a modern civilized person is also uncivilized if you see that person from the Vedic point of view, right? Non-civilized, educated, non-educated, strong and weak. Now, further Prabhupada writes, so what do you find common in such people? They are full of animal propensities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. That's the goal of their life. If you ask them why do they live, they will not say it directly, but indirectly they live for these four things. How can I eat better, sleep better, mate better, defend better, right? Everything in world is happening for these four things. Next, activities, because their activities are not spiritually oriented, whatever they do cannot be considered auspicious because it's going to chain them more and more in the three modes of material nature. And they perpetually remain in material existence. Means they continue to be a part of the material world. That's non-regulated. Now, if you go to regulated, then regulated can be then classified in three categories again: karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. Karmis, jnanis, and bhaktas. So when we talk of the word karmi, we should know one thing, that karmi is not the uncivilized person as per the scriptures. Karmi means one who is following the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas. Which means who? Worshippers of demigods. They can be called karmis, pious Hindus or pious Christians, whatever it may be, pious Muslims, they can be called karmis because they follow the scripture. But their interest is only material progress or material development. So they are the karmis. Then jnanis and bhaktas. So karmis are followers of scriptural rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity. Jnanis, trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence. So jnanis are frustrated people, very, very frustrated, right? They like to hear sad songs and watch sad movies because everything in their life, it seems to be ruined. Relationship, economical development, everything. So they want to just finish their material life. And finally, bhaktas, devotees in Krishna consciousness. Here also, the activities of the karmis are not auspicious. Why? Because those activities don't lead to spiritual progress. Only the activities of jnanis or bhaktas can be considered auspicious because they can help these people advance towards spiritual reality. But the path of the jnanis is very cumbersome, very boring, very dry, and the path for the devotees is quite relishable. That's what Srila Prabhupada explains in this purport, nice purport. Karmis can also then be classified in two categories. What are they? Sakam and Nishkam. I hope by now you know the meaning of these two words, Sakam and Nishkam, right? Let's me ask those who may not be knowing. Okay, let's see. Vrinda Rani Mataji, would you understand by now the meaning of these two words, Sakam and Niskam? You have to unmute yourself, please.
I think I understood. Sakama karma yogis are those who attach to the results of their activities, while Nishkama karma yogis are not attached to the results of
Very
their
good.
work.
Thank you. So Sakam means with desires, material desires. Niskam means no material desires. So these two are there. So out of them also, Sakam is going to have a good experience just rotating in the material life, up and down going, right? Nishkam can make spiritual progress, tangible spiritual progress. So after fruitive results, desire no fruit, right? Once a devotee in Russia who was reading Prabhupada Bhagavad-gita as it is, did not understand what fruitive means. So he thought Nishkams mean one who stops eating fruits, no banana, apples, oranges, because it says desires no fruit. So if you don't understand the grammar well, this is what may happen. So it doesn't desire any results for one's activities, material results. Okay, someone can kindly read this. Okay. Yes, Kavya Mataji, please read.
Auspiciousness. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and I'm really sorry.
Okay. Take care of your baby. Navnidhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Auspiciousness. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accepts all bodily discomforts for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. Purport Bhagavad-gita 6.40.
Yes. So here, Srila Prabhupada in the purport basically says, if you want to summarize it in one line, protect dharma by executing it. Dharma will then protect you from evil. This is what this purport says. Dharma refers to here duty. So you protect your dharma or duty by executing it, and then that duty will protect you from falling into evil. Now Krishna begins to answer Arjuna's question, what happens to an unsuccessful yogi, destiny of a yogi. And let's look at those verses from Bhagavad-gita, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. 5 verses. Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati samaha suchinam shrimatam gehe yoga brashto pichayate. अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यद् ईदृशम् तत्र तं बुद्धिसंयोगं लभते पौरवदेहिकं यतते च ततो भूयः संसिद्धौ कुरु नन्दन पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव ह्रियते हि अवशोऽपि सः जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते. And the last in this section, Prayatnadyatmanastu yogi sangshuddha kilbishah aneka janma sansiddhas tato yati param gatim. So 41 says now, Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashvati sama suchinam shrimatam gehe yogo bhrashto vichayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. So it says, one who is unsuccessful, what does that person get? Many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious people, which means the heavenly planets. Then after that is born into a family of righteous people, which means Brahmanas, or into a family of rich aristocracy, which means rich Vaishyas. Two kinds of families they take birth into. Why they are given birth in such families? Because either of these two families give some kind of support in spiritual development. If one is born in a Brahmana family, then from childhood one will be trained to be a Brahmana, will be taught principles of sattvic lifestyle, clean habits, clean mind. And if it's born in a rich Vaishya family, then one doesn't have to worry about one's maintenance. Otherwise, most of the people in this world, they are struggling just to maintain themselves. I mean, get their basic needs fulfilled. And because of that, they don't get any time to practice spiritual life. Actually, it is so true, working for 12, 14, 16 hours a day. So if you ask them, chant Hare Krishna, they will say, where is the time? Read Bhagavad-gita, where is the time? So they don't really get that opportunity. Not possible for them. So Krishna is saying, if I give them birth in a rich family, at least their basic needs will be fulfilled. They can easily participate in spiritual activities. Or they are born in a Brahmana family, so they'll be given those cultures, sanskar, principles will be given right from the childhood. That's when the yogi is unsuccessful after short practice of yoga. Okay, which means he just came to the path of yoga for, let's say, few months, couple of years, or made little progress, and then died. Okay. Now here, please try to understand, unsuccessful yogi doesn't refer to someone who deliberately deviated from the path. Unsuccessful yogi means before he or she became successful, death came. Which means, you are on the journey, you are marching ahead and you have died. You could not complete your journey. That's what is called unsuccessful here. Not someone who still have a long life to live and has deviated from the practice of spiritual life. So here, because of lack of time or lack of efforts, and the death has come, the person could not succeed completely So what will happen next? So if there is short practice, this is explained, right? We'll come to know that later. What is your question? Now, let's say the person has made good amount of progress. Then what will happen? अथवा योगिनामेव कुले भवति धीमताम् एतद्धि दुर्लभतरं लोके जन्म यद् ईदृशम्. Or if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. And if the person has practiced for a long time yoga and then died, then in the next life that person will not be born in a Brahmana family or a Vaishya family, but will be born in the family of yogis or in the family of Vaishnavas. Very, very wise people, right? So that from the childhood they can take up principles of yoga or Vaishnava dharma. Okay, so now if you make these two shlokas into a table, this is how that will look. Someone has to mute himself or herself. Yogi, unsuccessful, practice little, long. In case of short practice, there is a transition into higher planets. You enjoy there. Whatever your desires were there, remaining material desires, you fulfill in the heavenly planets. And once you're frustrated of those material desires fully, or let's say fully satisfied by fulfilling those material desires, then you come to planet Earth and take birth as a Brahmana or a Vaishya. After long practice, no going to heaven, straight away next human life immediately. And that happens in the family of yogis or yoga teachers, which means, masters, yoga masters, great yogis or Vaishnavas. Okay? That person doesn't go to hell. That is for sure. That is for sure. Doesn't go to hell. Either goes up to heaven or stays on the planet Earth and gets a better future. Always a better future. In either case. Okay, someone has to read this. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. Please
Yes.
accept my humble obeisances.
Humble obeisance.
Fostering transcendentalists. Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists, those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such family received a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in the Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and trained, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have now generated due to insufficient education and training. Pulpit 642.
So receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. Who? A child born in such a family. Gets spiritual impetus from the very beginning. How? Will have a deity at home. So from very childhood, we'll see deity worship. We'll hear the names of Krishna in different forms. We'll hear Kirtan, Japa. We'll hear stories of Krishna. We'll have Krishna toys, right? We'll be eating Krishna prasadam. And if the mother and father are observing Ekadashi, we'll also observe Ekadashi. So we'll get all these spiritual values right from the childhood. Or if, let's say, born in a dham like Mayapur, Vrindavan, Jagannath Puri, so get the opportunity to live in dham just from one's birth. So all these are very, very good signs for spiritual development. And then also gets training in the family. And many things are passed down as tradition. But if there is no sufficient training and education, then even in such Acharya families, there may be some degeneration, which is seen these days actually. You go to Vrindavan, and if you visit some old temples in Vrindavan, you'll find that there are some families living in the premises of those temples. But all these people are oldies. If you ask them, where are your children? They will say, someone is studying in US, someone is studying in France, someone is working in Germany. So the parents, they are still in the temple, serving in the temple, but their next generation, they are not interested in continuing that legacy. They want to do something else. So that's because of no proper education or training, where they are not taught that this is the real wealth. You got a chance to take birth in holy dham. You got a chance to worship a deity which is 500,000 years old, so you should continue doing that. Why just for some money you go out of the country and you take up some job? They are not taught like that. Rather, they are told that what will you get in life if you stay in this holy dham? Go out, see everyone is doing so much, you also do so much. So they devalue their own culture. Reading further, yes, Surika Mataji.
Fostering transcendentalists. By the grace of Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists generations after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, 𝗪𝗵𝗶 Srimad Bhakti Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families. By the grace of Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional services of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of Transcendental System, purport 6.42.
Thank you. So here Prabhupada is now giving example. Like it was mentioned in the shloka, you will be born in a family of yogis. So he gives example. Of course, for these two personalities mentioned in the purport by Prabhupada, this principle doesn't apply. They are not yogis who are unsuccessful and that's why they took birth in such a special family. They are directly coming from Krishna's abode. They are Krishna sent people, God sent people. But generally those who are great devotees, they always try to come down to a lower position because of their humility. So he's saying that perhaps in our past life we could not complete, so in this life we are continuing in this special manner. But Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they are coming right from Krishna's abode, Golok Vrindavan, to help people. However, there are many other examples which we do see that people born in the family of Vaishnavas or yogis are very special. Okay, we read further. Okay, a beautiful painting of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a ray of Vishnu. Son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, disciple of Gaurkishordas Babaji Maharaj, and spiritual master of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He was a very great personality. If you want to know, you can read his biography, Bhakti Siddhanta Vaibhava. A really, really great person. I mean, if you study his life, you will find that you will come to realize that he cannot be a person of this world. His scholarship, his erudition, his language, his demeanor, his dealings, his austerity, all amazing, all amazing. So, and the kind of people he attracted to Gaudiya Math. I mean, in those days when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur were present on the planet, Indian politicians, they were envious of him. People like Gandhiji, Nehru, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, they were envious of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Why? Because they thought that the best people whom we want to recruit for Indian army to fight for the freedom, this person is making them sadhus. He has so much of influence that the people whom we want to stand for India's freedom, he is making them sadhus. So they even approached him and told him, why are you doing so? These are young people. They have very, they have a passionate nature. Let them use their passion for India's freedom. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that they have a greater cause to dedicate their life for. You go and fight for freedom. they'll do something else more important. So he was, you can imagine that the whole India, people in India talk so much about Netaji, Gandhiji, Nehru, so on, but hardly people know about Bhaktisiddhanta. But his caliber impressed those kind of people. His caliber is, even Britishers, they were amazed by his English, the kind of English he spoke. They did not understand. So, and he was an astrological genius. At a young age, he had compiled his own book on astrology and astronomy. And at that time, he was given an offer that he could have become the dean of the most renowned Sanskrit university in Kolkata, just at the age of 19. You can imagine someone being given the offer of becoming the dean of the university at the age of 19, Sanskrit university, But then he said, no, I am supposed to do something else. So Prabhupada is giving such people, they are born in great families. He was born as a son of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, great family, right? And Prabhupada was born as a son of Gaur Mohan De, again a great Vaishnava. All right, so now let's move further to the next verse, 43. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labate 𝗹𝗶𝗹 yatate cha tato bhuyah samsiddho guru nandana. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. Now, Paramita Mataji asked, how does that person come to know? How does that person revive? It's very natural. It just happens like that. And he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So that person, we all use this word very often, intuition or instinct. So that person understands many spiritual truths just by intuition. And that is coming from the previous life. What people will struggle to understand, that person will understand like this. What people will struggle to follow, that person will be able to follow like this, because of carrying it from the previous life. Like we struggle to fast. If we are told to fast for many, many days, we'll definitely feel weak physically, mentally. We'll feel that we may die or we don't have any energy to do anything. But we see people for whom it's very natural to fast. It's very easy to fast. Their body doesn't scream and shout when they fast, and nor does their mind. Why? They're carrying it from their previous life. So spiritual growth, what we have done in the previous life comes in our present life, and that's where we begin from. Now, how do you understand how much progress you made in your previous life, and from where are you starting in this life? Now, to explain this, I give a very simple example. I don't know if I shared this with you before. If you played video games before as a child, I don't know if you played. As a child, if you played video games, then in those days we had this game called Mario. Video game, right? Now I don't know who plays Mario, but in those days we played Mario. It was a television video game. So in Mario, there were 100 levels to cross. 100 was the last, right? But the problem with that was if you die at level 4 or 6 or 10, you can't start from there. You have to again start from level 1, isn't it? Right? In computers, you can save and then you can start from there. But in those days, you could not start from level 1. When you are new, you don't know from where that person who is going to kill Mario is going to come. So you get, stuck, you get hit by it, you get killed by it. But as you play, then okay, here there is a pitfall, here there is a danger, and you easily overcome all of that and you pass to the next level, next level, next level. The more you get experience of the game, the easier it becomes to go to the next, right? But when you come to that level where you're not at all aware of from where the danger is going to come, again you die. Similarly, in spiritual life, what happens is that when we come to a path, to whatever extent you have practiced in your previous life, all those rules and regulations, when told to you, you will find them very easy to follow. Very, very easy and simple to follow. But wherever your your vehicle gets stuck, that now onwards this becomes difficult. This becomes difficult. That means that's where you had stopped in the past life. From there, you have to then put the extra work, the hard work to move further ahead, right? So to give an example, for some people who are in ISKCON, coming to the level of practicing 4 regulatory principles was very easy. The reason is they have been doing it in this life as well as they have been doing it in the past lives. Very, very easy. For some, to chant 16 rounds is also no big deal. Why? Because they have been doing such practices in the past life or this life. Very, very easy, right? But the same activities for some becomes a great challenge. Why? Because they have not been doing it in the past life. And now it becomes a great challenge. So whatever offers us great obstacle in our challenge in our Krishna consciousness, we should know that is actually our real test, because that's going to take us to the next level. So the initial journey in Krishna consciousness is smooth and easy if you have done a lot in the previous life, but at a point it will come to a stop, a block, and that time one has to be really, really determined to go beyond. After, at that point, then the path of Krishna consciousness for some time doesn't remain enjoyable. Previously, it was very enjoyable because you are not having any obstacles. You are just going, you are moving fast. That much you have covered in the previous life, so you'll be moving very fast. But at some point, when those jerks will come, speed breakers will come, that time things will start getting difficult. And we should know this is where now I have to put efforts in my present life to go further beyond, right? So purva abhyasena teneva, by previous practice, that person, whatever he has done, will come to him or her. And then he will try to make further progress in this life. Prabhupada gives the example of Bharat Maharaj, King Bharat. You all know that story. So what happens is that he is attracted to the previous practice without effort. And if you read the life stories of some of the members of ISKCON, you would know this, actually. You would know this, that they took to Krishna consciousness so easily. Like I did not tell this story to you. I was telling someone else. Yeah. We have a brahmachari in our temple. Did I tell this? Maybe I told this. No? We have a brahmachari in our temple, recently joined, and he is from Assam. So earlier he was working in Mumbai in different places. Then he got backache, so he took the job of a, what do you call that? A conductor in a bus. So he took that job.
Told that, Prabhuji.
I told this story?
Yeah, the one who chants very beautifully.
I told this? Yeah. Did I tell in this class or some other class?
No, previous class.
Previous class. No. Did I tell in the Bhakti Sastri class?
No, Prabhu.
No.
No, Prabhu. I'm sorry.
We have not heard. No, Prabhu. No.
Yeah. So then this devotee, he chants very nicely and he became a bus conductor. And the driver of that bus in which he got his first job was a devotee. So that devotee driver was, driving at the same time with the right hand chanting his japa. So driving and chanting, because whole day he would be driving, he did not get time to chant, so he would drive and chant. So this boy conductor asked him, "What are you doing?" And that other devotee just gave him a half an hour talk. Who is Krishna? Who are the demigods? Why chant this and that? And this person started chanting 16 rounds. The bus conductor started chanting 16 rounds. Later on, he left his job. Later on, he joined the temple full time. Now he's a brahmachari in saffron clothes. Gets up at 2:30 a.m. in the morning, chants his japa. So, you see, that means that person is carrying it from the previous life without any extra effort, took it up so easily. So there are many such examples that they will take it up very easily because they're bringing it from the past life. Anyways, we don't have to worry that we did not have such a great start. Wherever we stopped last life, we are starting from there now. And wherever we'll stop in this life, Let's say if you don't complete it, we'll start from it next time. That's the principle explained here. Purva abhyasena, the past practice comes to help. Okay, someone please read the purport here. Some of you never read. You can try. Yeah, Rohit, you can try.
King Bharat, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmana, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharat was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharatvarsh. Formerly, it was known as 𝗹𝗵𝗿𝗪. The emperor at an early age retired for spiritual perfection but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmana and was known as Jad Bharat because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Rahugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So, see, Krishna will give us opportunities. When we have done something in the past, then Krishna will bring opportunities to us in the next life, and you will just pick it up like that. It will be something like you are not looking for it; it will come across your way, and you'll pick it up. And this happens with many people connected to ISKCON. It's not that they have been looking for something like ISKCON. No, they have not been looking for anything like ISKCON, but somehow or other the devotees, come in their life, and then they start practicing Krishna consciousness as if that was the most natural thing for them to do. That was something that they were meant to do. That's what they were made for. It happens so, so that's because of the previous life connection. It happens. Okay, next verse. Purvabhyasena teneva hriyate hyavashopi saha jigyasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attached to the yogic principles. Yes, even without seeking them. Which means what? No one will educate that person in doing certain things, but that person will start doing them by itself. To give you an example, let's say a family is there who is non-vegetarian, and a child is born in that family, and suddenly the child will say one day, I don't want to eat non-veg now. And the family will say, why? What happened? Did someone tell you something? Did you read some article on it? Did someone program you for this, brainwash? And then, no, from today I feel I don't want to eat non-vegetarian. No reasons, but there is certain feeling from inside, a gut feeling that this is not good. Why this happens? From the previous life, There is an attraction towards sattvic life. There is an attraction towards pure life. Naturally. No one has to educate that person. Do this, do that. No one has to tell that person. It comes as if in the DNA. Very, very natural. They are like that. So because of the previous life, it's coming with that. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Yes, we'll read this purport also. Okay. Achyutan Prabhu, would you like to read the purport?
Yes, Prabhu. Okay. Purport. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.7, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalist is explained as below. Aho batasva pachoto garyan yak jivagre vartate nama tubhyam tepus tapaste juhu O Sansararya Brahmanucharu Namakradante Yete. O my Lord, person who can chant the holy name of your lordships are far advanced in spiritual life. Even if born in families of dog eater, such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all the sacred places, and finished all scripture studies. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of Vedas, known as Shabd Brahma. Unless therefore one is purified, one cannot take to the principle of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you. So we'll read further now. Prayatnadyatmanastu yogi samshuddha kilbishaha aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress. Now, you see, when that person realizes that, I am doing these things not for the first time. I'm carrying it from my previous life. Then that person becomes very serious because that person knows I already missed the goal before. Now I don't want to miss it again. So then a greater seriousness comes. Because you see, for those who are very new to the path of Krishna consciousness and they are really, really new, that means that they are not even now sure about the goal. They are not even yet convinced about getting to the goal. They like it, but it's not their life. But then we have some people in our society for whom going back home, back to Godhead is the only business they have in life. That's the only thing they want to do in life. So these people, such people, we can definitely understand are those who have been practicing Krishna consciousness from the previous life. And that's why they have this great fire in them that if we miss this time also, it's going to be very, very bad for us. Like taking the example of 𝗪𝗲. He was damn serious that I have to complete Krishna consciousness in this life. So what we can do here is, yes, when we look at ourselves and when we look at others, we can know that different people are carrying different intensities of practice in Krishna consciousness because of their different backgrounds. Those people who are new will not have so much of intensity, and those who are quite experienced from the previous lives will be very, very intense. In this way, they should not try to, look down at those who are not so intense in their practice, understanding that they are still babies and they'll take their time. They will take their time. Maybe not this life, they'll take 1, 2, 3 more lives to come to that level of sincerity or seriousness. It may be required for them, right? Reading further, purport. Okay, someone can read now. Someone else can read now. Antara Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
A person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic, or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleans himself of all material contamination. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed of all contaminations. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad-gita 7.28. Yesham tva antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dhriyavrata. After many births of executing pious activities, When one is completely freed from all contaminations and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Okay, now we'll do a simple exercise before we go for a break. Understanding all that we have discussed, think about this. Spiritually inclined souls take birth in the families of yogis and Vaishnavas. Understanding this, how should one do parenting for such children? Because then these children are not ordinary children. Of course, for that, it's not that you have a child and after that you become a devotee. All the children are special, but let's say you had a devotee, your husband is a devotee, or your wife is a devotee, and then after that you have a child. Then there are more chances than that child is someone who is continuing spiritual life from the previous life. So in that case, how one should do parenting? Because here now there is this added clause that this person is spiritually developed compared to other children. So what precautions one need to take? What vision one needs to have? What kind of guidance and what kind of upbringing one should do for such a child? Neha Mataji.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lead by example. The parents should initially lead by example.
Okay. Lead by example in the sense, do what? And
parents are also devotees. So
okay.
whatever they practice, the child, spiritually inclined soul, will automatically follow.
Very good. Okay, so that's the point. So if the child is spiritually inclined, if you follow yourself, the child will pick it up from there. Yes, good. Anju Mataji.
And we know that the child is having a special inclination towards spirituality, we should provide a proper platform, safeguarding the child from the outside illusionary or outside illusionary activities. So that's our purpose, that we shouldn't be forcing the child going out in the general category of the children where he might lose the way. So a special platform is needed for them.
Fine. So you said we need to give a platform which will facilitate the spiritual growth, and they should be protected or safeguarded from wrong association. Yes, Ashok Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think particular care they have to take is they should not take the situation for granted that they are already in the Krishna consciousness, so child will automatically come into Krishna consciousness. Of course, when the child is showing those inclinations for Krishna consciousness, they should understand the position at which level he is, and from that level they should provide further support so that the child advances in Krishna consciousness.
Okay, good. So that precaution one has to take. You mentioned the child should not take it for granted. Yes, Navanidhi Mataji.
We should always think that these children have been sent to us by Krishna, and as we handle brittle things, fragile things very properly, the same way we have to handle them, so that they are less susceptible to the material world, and they don't, whatever they were unsuccessful previously, they continue their spiritual life without any hindrance.
Yes. So we have to encourage them in a way that they can carry on from their previous life, whatever they were doing and wherever they left. Mahesh Prabhu, you had raised your hand.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I think the communication should always be two ways, because there is a possibility that although parents may be Vaishnavas or yogis, there may be some good practices which the child may be carrying on from his previous birth. So that should be respected and that should be understood in proper perspective. And if it is a good thing, they should also follow. Like you give the example of veg, non-veg. I mean, that may not happen in Vaishnavas, but if there are some things, we should always encourage that thing and try to take this, and communication should always be two ways. If it is a single way, that only parenting and only dictating things, then maybe it may not be so effective. So I believe parenting should be two ways, and if there are good practices, they should be carried on, so that the child will also get encouragement that okay, my bhakti, I mean, that is also getting some attention by the parents.
Fine. Yes, Srinivas Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanat Pranam Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we have to see the child as a Vaishnava sent by God, which is already said, but in the seva mode, like you are doing a seva for a Vaishnava, in that mood we have to see the children that sent by God, and we have to give us the proper seva for that, whatever the situation may be, and like that. Yeah.
Yes, we'll have to do that.
Yes, we'll have to do that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Bindu Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Prabhuji, actually, we can take example as the Annamaya, because generally the child will be more close to the mother. So whatever mother prepare for the Krishna food, prasadam, automatic child also will be learning how to prepare prasadam, and also the being Ekadashi festival, everything. By seeing the parents, the child automatically grows, going to temple, and by doing the service in the temple, child also will join by giving a paper plates or something to the devotees. Like this, they help the mother parents. Slowly, they will also learn at one stage how to be a devotion.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Fine. Vrindarani Mataji.
I would like to alert to one thing. Sometimes I've seen it happens when devotee parents notice that their children are spiritually inclined. It happens that they become proud. So instead of properly guiding, children become spoiled a bit. I remember one discussion between parents when everyone was glorifying their children. My friend didn't know what to say, so he said, well, my baby is waking up every day in Mangalarati. Just to notice this danger in educating.
Correct, yes. So one has to take those precautions. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. I think if you are lucky enough to have such a children, you have to put more attention on them and spend more time with them, because most of the times, if the things which ordinary people do, it doesn't notice a lot. But if you are from such a family, if there's something little, it calls a lot of attention, and it brings a lot of disgrace to the society or Krishna consciousness. So such child, we have to put more attention on them and have to take very good care of them, so that they can perfectly guided, so that they will not get away from their their devotional services.
Yes. Thank you so much for this point. I liked all the points and appreciate your points, but I definitely like your point the most, that you see, because the society at present is not encouraging in that direction. So we have to give extra care to such a child, and we don't have to become possessive of that child, and we don't have to, always obstruct the child from interacting with the outside world, but we have to give extra attention in how we facilitate that child's spiritual development, protecting the child from all the dangers possible. Because that person has been given a more valuable object to take care of. As such, for every parent, the child is very, very valuable. But when we understand this child is a devotee of Krishna, then we take care of that child, not just thinking that this is my child, but also thinking that this person is very special to Krishna, or for Krishna. It's very dear to Krishna. So then I have to put in extra. I have to put in extra care, extra attention, being more conscious of giving the opportunities to that child to grow in Krishna consciousness, right? Facilitating that, and at the same time protecting the child from false pride, Now, these days we see, there's nothing wrong about it, but these days we see parents encouraging small children, devotee children, to come so much on social media and show how many shlokas they know, and what all things they can do, right? This is encouraging children is very nice, but not spoiling them while encouraging them. We should not give them that. We should not give them the enticement which generally materialistic people offer to children to grow in whatever they are doing. A devotee should not grow in Krishna consciousness just to become more popular. Right? Not that I have to learn shlokas because then I get claps and chocolates and pats on the back, or I should do kirtan for Krishna so that I get more likes. And children generally, you see, they fall prey to such offers very easily because they're small. We may not know this, but even as a small child, whatever age may be, the tendency to seek attention of other beings is very strong, and that's pretty strong in a child. You must have seen that. The tantrums that a child throws is just because he or she is seeking attention, wants attention, and you're not giving it. So when we give so much of attention to them, then it gets to the head and it makes them proud, and they may start thinking that we are much better than the other children because we know shlokas. We can chant mantras, we can do yajnas, we can play mridanga and kartal, we can sing so well, we know the philosophy. So we have to also protect them from coming to this mentality of being proud. They should be low-key. At the same time, they have to, and all this will happen when we don't just emphasize that, dear child, you be a good devotee. We also ourselves try to be a good devotee. Then you're not making that child feel that child is extraordinary. You just make that child feel that you are doing what we are doing. We all are doing, and why we are doing that is explained to that child in a nice manner. So then that child will have a very good growth in spiritual life. We'll take it up very seriously. We will stop here. We'll give you a break. After that, we'll discuss the yoga ladder, and then we'll take any questions if you have on this topic. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So 2 more verses remaining from this chapter. The topmost yogi. Now here Krishna brings a close and he is making a transition. So far, Karma Yoga was explained, Jnana Yoga was also explained, Dhyana Yoga was explained in this chapter 6, but Bhakti Yoga was only touched and left. Now, from chapter 7, because Krishna wants to elaborate on that topic, which is the essence of Bhagavad-gita, the cream of Bhagavad-gita, he's only introducing it in chapter 6, at the end of chapter 6. So it's like bringing us to a level and then saying, beyond this is Bhakti, or Bhakti is much greater than that. 6.46 and 47 talk about that. So let's recite these 2 verses. 46 and 47. 46. Tapasvibhyodhiko yogi jnanibhyopi matodhikaha karmibhyaschadhiko yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Ascetic here refers to someone who is just interested in austerity. I mean, so many sadhus in India, you'll see them in holy places. They live a very, very austere life. scantily wearing clothes, not even using blankets in winter season. They don't shave their beard and keep their hairs grow long in a matted form, and they eat dry chapatis with some dal and sabji. That's all. They don't have a proper house, no property, nothing. But they don't even do anything spiritual also. I mean, not that they are sitting and reading about Krishna or hearing about Krishna, or they are doing some kind of meditation, they are chanting names of God. No, you'll find them smoking cigarette, smoking bidi, in any langar or bhandara. If they get food to eat, they'll just go and sit on the line and eat food. They'll do some gossip. But they are not doing anything spiritual as such. They are just living a austere life. That's all. People confuse that as spirituality, that this is spirituality, but that is no spirituality there. It's just like denying yourself material comfort and enjoyment. That's all. So a yogi is much more than that. Living it like an ascetic. A yogi is much more than that. A yogi is greater than the empiricist, means a person who has a lot of knowledge of material world, a philosopher, a thinker, a scientist, but only dealing with matter. So a yogi is greater than that person also. And then a yogi is greater than the fruitive worker. Fruitive worker refers to a pious person who is interested in opening up hospitals, digging wells, feeding the poor, giving charity. A yogi is much greater than this. So as per Bhagavad-gita, if one practices the teachings of Gita, that person becomes quite greater than all those people who are seen great in this world. And this is what we as students of Gita have to understand. If we are looking for appreciation from people of this world, we may not always be doing those things which get attention from Krishna. But if we are looking for appreciation from Krishna, we may have to do those things which general people may not acknowledge and appreciate. Like if you are a good person in this world, the world will follow you, will praise you, adore you. But if you are a spiritualist, not necessarily the world will adore you. You may be no one for them. Possible. But then you become really, really important someone in the eyes of Krishna. Now what happens is, this is something important for us to understand, because when we get associated with a society like ISKCON, generally what happens is, people, they get attracted to the big shots. Big shots means those who are really, really popular and famous people. There's no need to take names, but then we have such people in our society who are very charismatic, materially successful, and people, they get attracted to such personalities thinking this is what spiritual life is. However, we should know such people is a very, very small fraction or percentage of the entire membership which ISKCON has, isn't it? Right? Most of the devotees in ISKCON are very, very ordinary people. Very, very ordinary. Like I give you the example, someone can be a bus driver, someone can be, an auto rickshaw driver, right? Very, very common person, very common person. But that person is a devotee, and that's what makes that person very special in the eyes of Krishna. But in the eyes of the people of this world, that person may be nothing. And we should know that not every single member of a spiritual organization is going to become so popular, famous, rich, successful, like those selected few at the top rank, And that is not what actually also defines spiritual success. Some people, because of their good karma, they get all these things. It has got nothing to do with spiritual advancement, actually. Nothing to do with spiritual advancement. It is just because of some good karma that they may become popular, or they may become, known. They may have material success. But if you look at the Siddhanta, the philosophy and the conclusion, any person, even a normal devotee who may be just a sweeper in the temple, but is a devotee of Krishna, is very special. Why? Because of being a devotee, right? And that's why in a society of devotees, we have to be very respectful to any member, whether that is a small member or big member, because they are special to Krishna, dear to Krishna. Why they are dear to Krishna? Krishna mentioned here, being a yogi makes them much more greater than anyone else. Anyone else. And this should also give us satisfaction that this is what we are a part of, this spiritual organization, not for the other thing. The other thing. We are not a part of this organization for that thing. We are part of this organization for this particular thing, the practice of spiritual life. So that is explained here. It's a very nice purport actually. Prabhupada explains so many things here. We will read. He gives definition to the different yoga systems. Someone will please read this. Okay, Hanit Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga or Krishna consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Asceticism is without self-knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to the Supreme Lord is also imperfect. And the fruitive work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga. And this is still more clearly explained in the next verse.
And the next verse is Yoginam api sarvesham matkatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yo mam same yuktatamo mataha. Of all the yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, he is the most intimately united with me in yoga, and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So this verse defines a Bhakta Yogi, a devotee of Krishna. Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy here, example. He says, there are so many high peaks, but Mount Everest is the highest. Likewise, there can be so many yogis, but Bhakta Yogi or Bhakti Yogi is the topmost, the highest, the greatest. Snehal Mataji, you can read.
The culmination of all yoga practices. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga, without fruitive results, is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. Purport Bhagavad-gita 6.47. Thank you.
Nice. Seena Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Bhakti Yoga, just now I think I have to read this paragraph, Prabhuji. Bhakti Yoga is the culmination.
Yeah, read this is a different paragraph.
Yes, Prabhuji. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. Purport Bhagavad-gita 6.47. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you. Dhananjay Prabhu, would you like to read this?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Krishna consciousness. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name: Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, or Dhyana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga, just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. Purport Bhagavad-gita 6.47.
Thank you, Prabhu. Now, we'll discuss the yoga ladder. Now, this is a very interesting part of Gita as well as quite intricate. So I request you to pay attention and try to understand. If you understand the yoga ladder, you'll develop greater appreciation for what Srila Prabhupada is doing for this world and what ISKCON is doing for this world, and what good fortune we have because of being a part of this society or this spiritual family. There are two ways of making progress to bhakti. Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushana says one is called Sanishtita and the other is called Parinishtita. Sanishtita, Parinishtita. Sanishtita means step by step, gradually you go forward. Parinishtita means by special mercy of someone, you are given a great jump. Okay. So first 6 chapters of Bhagavad-gita, they are talking about a Sanishtita devotee who is step by step making progress and coming to the stage of bhakti. And that is shown by this chart on the screen called the yoga ladder. It begins from the stage of animal life. When you say animal life, it doesn't refer to animals. It refers to humans who are living like animals. Okay. And from there, it comes to human life, which means humans who are living like humans. And that's called Karma Kanda. Follow the Vedas, go to the temple, go to the church, go to the mosque, and pray to the Supreme Lord for material development. That's called Karma Kanda. Both animal life and Karma Kanda life is only material. There's nothing spiritual about it. There's nothing spiritual about it. Okay. So now spiritual life begins when you see those black dash lines. Beyond that, there is called Karma Yoga. From here, the spiritual life begins. When spiritual life begins, the word yoga comes into picture. Yoga means linking with the Supreme. The word yoga comes there, right? This is when the spiritual life begins. Yoga comes there. Okay, Karma Yoga. And then from Karma Yoga, one progresses to Jnana Yoga. It doesn't mean that when you progress from Karma Yoga, you have stopped doing karma. No. You are still doing karma, but you are doing karma with greater knowledge. Knowledge of whom? Knowledge of whom? Self, Atma, Atma Gyan. Like, to give you an example, a student going to the school to study, or a student going to the college to study, just to get good scores and get a good job, going to the temple sometimes, praying to the Lord, let me score 96 out of 100. That is Karma Kanda. Okay. Then that student coming to the stage of studying as a matter of duty only. It's my duty, I should study. Out of gratitude towards parents, what they have done for him, out of gratitude towards the Supreme Lord that I've given this body an opportunity, I'm studying Karma Yoga. Now, when that student develops some spiritual knowledge, reads book on Atma Gyan, meets people who explains to them that you're not the body, you're spirit, soul, and now studies with knowledge of this self. I am spirit, soul, I am not this body. Then that is called Jnana Yoga. When this Atma Gyan then increases in meditation on Supreme, then that is called Ashtanga Yoga. One can still be a student and an Ashtanga Yogi. And then, now I'm making it very simple. However, the realization at these stages are quite high. Then from there, that person can either go to Brahman realization or Paramatma realization. And from Paramatma realization, that person can come to Bhakti Yoga. And then finally go to Bhagavan realization. This is called the progressive yoga ladder. Progressive. And this takes long time. Not just one life. It may take many lifetimes to come from here to here. It's a long journey. Very long journey. Okay. What happens is, basically, the person below this line is interested in material desires. The person above this line has a transcendental goal and is known as a yoga practitioner. And the other dashed line that you see is a person within the three modes of material nature, and above that is a person beyond the three modes of material nature, a liberated soul. Fine? This is how we understand the yoga ladder. Now let's look at the various stages of it. What is animal life? Those humans who do not follow Shastra to fulfill the material desires are considered as acting on the level of animals. What is Karma Kanda? Desirous of attaining heavenly pleasures, by following the Vedas, he may be elevated. We discuss about that in chapter 3, shlokas 10 to 16. You remember that food cycle? Annad bhavanti bhutani parchanyad anna sambhavaha. Right? You perform sacrifice, the demigods will be pleased, they will give you rain, from rain you'll get food. So that whole process. Then Karma Yoga can be of two types, Sakama Karma Yogi and Nishkama Karma Yogi. Okay, Sakam, Nishkam. What is Sakam and what is Nishkam? Sakama Karma Yogi is in the mode of passion. Nishkam Karma Yogi is in the mode of goodness. Sakama Karma Yogi is attached to his work or her work. Nishkam Karma Yogi is also attached to his work or her work. But Sakam Karma Yogi is also attached to the results. Nishkam Karma Yogi is not attached to the results. How makes progress? Sakam Karma Yogi by renouncing some fruits. Nishkam Karma Yogi by renouncing all the fruits. Result? For a Sakam Karma Yogi, knowledge increases, passion purifies and moves to the level of goodness. For a Nishkam Karma Yogi, gets more knowledge and becomes detached from the body and becomes spiritually situated or self-realized. I am spirit, soul, I am Atma. Right? So that's why we need to understand one thing here. At a certain level of our spiritual growth, we have to adopt the principles of renunciation. Before that, not required. But at that stage, very much required. Because renunciation leads to purity. Renunciation leads to transcending the bodily consciousness. Without that, it's not possible. So renunciation is not a choice, actually. On the spiritual path, it's a must. It's a must. And at one stage, one has to come to that. One has to adopt that for greater level of spiritual development. I can give you a simple example to explain the difference between Sakam and Nishkam Karma Yogi. Nishkam Karma Yogi, how is he or she different from Bhakta Yogi? Very simple. Nishkam Karma Yogi is attached to the work or duty. Bhakta Yogi is also not attached to the work. Which means what? A Nishkam Karma Yogi will have a strong sense of identity. I am a Brahmana, I cannot work like a Kshatriya. I am a Kshatriya, I cannot work like a Vaishya. I am a Vaishya, I cannot work like a Shudra. But for a Bhakti Yogi, these superficial attachments are no longer there. If you tell a Bhakti Yogi, for the service of Krishna, that person is ready to become anyone. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. Anything or anyone. You know. But for a Nishkam Karma Yogi, there is a strong sense of identity. I can only do these things, I cannot do these things. You know. Means there is a lot of attachment to the role that one has taken in life, professional life, family life, this strong attachment to the role. Maybe not so much attached to the results, but very much attached to the role. You know. But a Bhakti Yogi becomes free from that attachment also. Then who is Jnana Yogi? Fixed in goodness, realizes that he is not this body, but an eternal soul, may renounce his prescribed duties. Ashtanga Yoga, we already discussed 2 levels, Yoga Ruruksha, Yoga Rudha, wherein the yogi continues to work, wherein the yogi renounces work, and finally Bhakti Yogi. Now that was the general yoga ladder explained. What happens with a member in ISKCON is not that. That's not what we go through in ISKCON. We take the fast yoga ladder or the swift yoga ladder, which is shown on the right side of the whole chart. Anyone at any stage, whether animal life, karma kanda, karma yoga, jnana yoga, ashtanga yoga, comes in association of devotees. Okay? Then they take to an express yoga ladder known as Bhakti Yoga. Okay? And because of that, they immediately come to the stage of either Sakama Karma Yogi or Nishkama Karma Yogi. They don't have to really take to the practices of Jnana Yogi and Ashtanga Yogi. They can be either a Sakama Karma Yogi, known as Sakama Bhakta, or Nishkama Karma Yogi, known as a Nishkama Bhakta. And while engaging in their regular duties, they can engage in 9-fold practice of Krishna consciousness. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. Hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, remembering Krishna, those 9 activities. And from there, that person then goes to the highest stage known as Ananya Bhakti. This is what happens with members in ISKCON. This is kind of a boost given to them. Why? For what reason? Just because of association of devotees. Bhakta Sangha. Because of association of pure devotees of Krishna, one gets that great privilege. The journey is made very easy, very smooth, very joyful because of that. However, the realizations one will go through in one's spiritual life will correspond to the level one is at present. You know, it will correspond to that. That's why Srila Prabhupada says, for anyone who's serious enough to make progress in spiritual life should know about all the stages of yoga so that he or she can identify where am I located now and what is the next level. You know, am I in the movement of ISKCON working like a karma yogi? Am I in the movement ISKCON acting as a jnana yogi? Am I in the movement of ISKCON having the consciousness of an Ashtanga yogi? Am I in the movement of ISKCON a Sakama Bhakta or a Nishkama Bhakta? Or am I in the movement of ISKCON an Ananya Bhakta? Okay? Now the 2 books which help us to come to the stage of Ananya Bhakti, because some of you are doing Bhakti Sastri, the 2 books which help us to come to the stage of Ananya Bhakti are, which we are going to study in our Bhakti Sastri, Nectar of Instruction and Nectar of Devotion. Shri Upadesha Amrita and Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Okay, they help one to come to the stage of Ananya Bhakti, pure devotional service, unalloyed pure devotional service. Those 2 books, help us to reform our consciousness in a way that we can come to that stage, right? So this is the express yoga ladder, the faster one. And the only key connecting point is association of Vaishnavas, devotees. That's what Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON is doing for this world. They are making this whole process very simple, just by this one link. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get the opportunity to become a devotee of Krishna. Not possible. Even a greatly learned person who is knowing all the Shastras cannot come to Bhakti Yoga by the normal path. It takes a lot of time. However, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, one gets to come to that path easily, very, very easy, very easy. A lot can be discussed on this topic, but we'll stop here. Any questions from this chapter or what we discussed now? Now, Dhananjay Prabhu said, where does Buddhi Yoga fit in Nishkam Karma Yoga and Dhyana Yoga? Nishkam Karma Yoga already explained. Dhyana Yoga is the same as Ashtanga Yoga. Okay. And Buddhi Yoga is not a different type of yoga. It just means yoga with a particular attitude. So Nishkam Karma Yoga can also be called as Buddhi Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga can also be called as Buddhi Yoga. Okay. If I am doing with the attitude of a devotee, then it's Bhakti Yoga. If I am doing with the attitude that as a matter of duty I am doing it, then it's Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Buddhi Yoga is no special kind of yoga. It's just another way of defining the same thing. Okay. Working with a particular attitude, that's what makes it Buddhi Yoga. So it's the same as Nishkam or Bhakti. So questions here or comments?
Bhajte and worship, is it the same thing, no? Word meaning?
Srila Prabhupada explains that in the purport, you can read it. He says it's different.
No, bhajte, it is shown as devotional service, and worshipping is like...
Bhajate means devotional service. Worship means, it can only mean respect. You respect. You respect, right? So that's called worship. So you adore that person, but you don't love that person. So in English, in Hindi, you'll translate that as puja. Worship means puja, right? And bhajate would mean bhakti or seva. So one can worship or respect so many people, but one loves and has devotion for the Supreme Lord. That's called bhakti. We can worship the demigods, but we have devotion for Krishna. We understand the fate of successful and unsuccessful yogi. What about practicing devotees, especially when at the first step of yoga ladder? Practicing devotees are also a kind of yogi only, right? So they will continue in their next life where they stopped. And again, not that because they're devotees, they will just get a human birth. They may also go to heaven first, enjoy, and then come back to human life. It depends on what consciousness they had when they left the body. If there's a desire to enjoy some material desires, then may go to heaven, spend some time there and come back. But any kind of yogi, devotee, Ashtanga yogi, the path is you make progress. You don't go back or you don't go to animal life generally. Very rare case, like the example of Bharat Maharaj, he went to animal life because he was thinking of deer. Otherwise, no. One makes progress, moves further ahead. Yes, any other questions? No? All clear? Maybe there are some questions, Acha. Anit Mataji.
Prabhuji, it's a little strange question. We all talk about going back home, back to Godhead, to Golok Vrindavan. But in this chapter, we've learned that the highest realization in Krishna consciousness is that because the person sees everyone with equal vision, the person also wants that, everybody should experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness, and that person is the best philanthropist, and that's what our world needs. Now, if this person also wishes to go back home, back to Godhead, then is that right? I mean, should we not pray to become such a person which is a true service to Krishna, or should we pray to go back home, back to Godhead? I mean, I'm a little confused about this.
Thank you, Mataji. So, one should aspire to serve others and take them to Godhead, but for that one should be oneself situated in Godhead. We cannot take someone to Godhead without we being there. So we try to go back to Godhead, and while we are marching, we also try to take as many as we can with us. And once we are gone there, then if Krishna wants, Krishna will also have us come back. Come back doesn't mean that if we have to take a birth again. Krishna will have us come back in our consciousness to the material realm to preach and then assist people go back. So first thing is that we need to go. And while we are going, we can help others also come. It's just like you were traveling in a ship and there was a shipwreck. Okay. And somehow or other someone found a log of wood which can help that person sail across the ocean to the shore. So while that person is sailing across the ocean to the shore, if he sees that the log of wood is quite huge and there are some people drowning, so that person may ask them, come join me, I'm sailing back. So those people will come and join. Now, once you see that, okay, the limit is over now, you can't take more people on it, then you sail and you reach the shore. Once you have dropped those people, then you can come back to protect or save the others who are remaining, isn't it? Likewise, we are trying to go back home, back to Godhead, and while we are going back home, back to Godhead, we are helping others also come with us. But we are also moving ahead. And once we have gone there, then if Krishna wants you to take up that task, that okay, now you go back and help some more, then you come and you help them. And if Krishna says, no, you stay here, then you stay there. Right? You stay there. That is the way one can do the best for everyone in this world.
Thank you.
Evan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I think you answered part of my question. I hope I can ask the question properly. If by some incomplete spiritual progress we are born into better circumstances to progress further in our next life. However, the converse is for the one who is also living in the animal life. So he will be born into worse families because he's not taking any spiritual progress. Or be born into demonic families. If he's a bad person, be born into more and more demonic families. If he keeps being born in demonic families, what is the chance of him ever coming to Krishna consciousness? And as a devotee, if we are supposed to associate with other devotees, how do we save those people? If we don't ever come into contact with them, and if they're always being pushed into more and more worse circumstances from birth to birth. That was sort of my question. I hope I asked it correctly.
I understand your question. Thank you. So, devotees are of different categories. Those who are at low level of practicing Krishna consciousness, they cannot help such dedicated demonic people. I mean, they are dedicated to demonic activities, so we cannot help them. But then great stalwart Vaishnavas, they can help them. So when such stalwart Vaishnavas walk the surface of earth, just by coming in some contact with such Vaishnavas, those people get benefited. So when Vaishnavas like Srila Prabhupada or great peer devotees, they are traveling all across the globe, and these people are indirectly coming in contact. Not that they have been preached, no, they're just coming in contact indirectly, So that by that momentary association, by that little exchange, they accrue some pious credits. And in that way, slowly, one day it may come to the stage that they may also get transformed. So great Vaishnavas have that power. Very exalted Vaishnavas have that power to transform such people. Right? So they also have a hope. So that's why the hope for such people or anyone in this world is only Vaishnavas, devotees. That's the only hope. If they won't be devotees, then there wouldn't be any hope then. Because of the devotees, there is hope. So the devotees, that's why they do the greatest welfare service for humanity. Just by being there. Srila Prabhupada even told this many a times. If somebody is chanting Hare Krishna, the government should give him some money for chanting Hare Krishna. So people asked, why? Prabhupada said, because he is doing the greatest service for humanity, he is chanting Hare Krishna. That is also a service. Now, does the government not pay you if you are fixing the electric pole, right? If you are constructing the road? The government pays you, isn't it? So Prabhupada says, similarly, the government should pay those who are chanters because they are chanting Hare Krishna. They are doing some service for the society. They are just chanting God's name. That is also service. Well, a dull person may not understand how it's a service, but this is a service. You are maintaining sanity in the atmosphere. That's service. Right? Thank you, Prabhu. Neha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My question is, when opens hospitals or schools, he is called a fruitive worker. If an ISKCON, when an ISKCON devotee opens hospitals or an ISKCON temple will open hospitals to help patients like we did during COVID, then that is not called fruitive worker.
It depends on the intention. Like, for example, I may feed someone with the idea, this person is a poor fellow, hungry fellow, and I have food. Let me feed that person. By that, I'll get some pious credits. So then I become a karmi. But if I feed that person with this idea, this person is a spirit soul. I'm a spirit soul, and I should share my food. Then I become a jnani. And if I feed that person with the idea, within this body there is Paramatma, super soul, and I also have the same Paramatma in my body. So then I become a yogi if I feed that person. But if I see that person as a servant of Krishna, who has forgotten that he is a servant of Krishna, and I want to give that person some prasadam in order to help that person revive his or her consciousness that I am servant of Krishna, then my feeding that person will become bhakti or devotion. So it depends on why you are doing that, what you are doing, with what intention, and with what understanding. Got the point? Right? So the act and the intention, that two things decide where am I situated in my consciousness. Isn't it? The act and the intention. Both. Like chanting Hare Krishna. Anyone who chants Hare Krishna cannot be called a devotee. Because if someone is chanting Hare Krishna to go to heaven, then that person is actually having the mentality of a fruitive worker or karmi. So technically that person will be called, a karmi only, but chanting Hare Krishna. Right? So act plus intention, two things coupled together. Act and intention, two things. So that's how we understand where that person is situated in spiritual realization. Okay. Thank you. Like, I'll tell you the story. Prabhupada once, when he went to America, he was trying to sell his books, distribute his books. So he would go to many bookshops in America, and offer them his Bhagavatam, first canto, 3 volumes, that you keep in your bookshop. People would say, no one will buy this, Swamiji. And Prabhupada would say, you take. I mean, I'm not asking you for money. You just keep the books in your shop. If you happen to sell some, then you pay. So he would go to many shops like that and just give 10, 15, 20. And then after a month, he would make another visit. Did you pay some, did you sell some books? If they said yes, then he would collect the money for that. So one lady was there, Prabhupada, whenever he went there, because that lady happened to know something about India, Prabhupada asked her, what do you like to eat? And that lady said, once I went to a place, there were some Indian people there, and they fed me something known as samosas. I liked them very much. So Prabhupada made sure whenever he went to that lady, he personally made samosas and gave to that lady. Right? So here, Prabhupada is feeding that lady samosas. We cannot say now he's doing some punya karma, some pious work. No, he's feeding with the understanding that this is Krishna Prasad. If she eats, she may become a devotee. So then it's adbhakta, a devotee doing a devotional act. Okay, Salome Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I get confused when I look at the yoga ladder. We just had Bhadra Purnama now, and Maharaj said if you gift a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, you got a one-way ticket to Goloka. And when we pull the Rath Yatra, when we go there and pull the ropes, we told that when you pull the rope, you got a one-way ticket to Goloka. So I'm trying to reconcile this to all of the actions, the intentions, and the different rungs on the yoga ladder. If you can just clarify, Prabhuji.
So we should know one thing, that such statements given in the scriptures, they are basically, a bit of extreme, just to encourage us. When it says on Bhadra Purnima Day, you gift a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, then you are going to go back to Godhead. So it's an extreme statement. An extreme statement means it is true, but it doesn't say that, it never doesn't say that you are going to go back to Godhead in 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, 60 years, 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. It says you will go. So you will go, but when will you go? That it doesn't say. But it says you will go. Right? Same thing, you pull the Rath Yatra cart, you will go by doing that activity. But when? Now, why such statements are there in the scriptures? Just to encourage us. Simple. There's nothing wrong about it. Just to encourage us, because we need some encouraging statements, right? Hope-giving statements to enthuse us to do what we are doing. So you should know one thing, that these statements in the scriptures are not for lazy people. Lazy people means those who think that I'll do nothing, but I'll donate one Bhagavatam set, and by that I'll go back to Godhead. Those are lazy people. I'll do nothing, but when ISKCON holds the Rath Yatra, I'll climb down the stairs of my house, and I'll just go to go near to the cart and pull the cart for 2 inches, and then I'll go back to my house. And just by pulling the cart by 2 inches, I'll go back to Godhead. Now, those are lazy people. For such people, this is not going to work. These are statements of encouragement for dedicated devotees who are actually doing devotional service day in and out. And this is like, some boosters for them, some inspiration for them. Yes, this act will take you back to God. So keep doing it that way. However, we can use these statements to entice new people also, and make them into Krishna conscious devotees. Like, how many of you heard these lectures on YouTube? If you do this in Kartik is a special month, and if you do this in Kartik, then you'll get Krishna Prema, or love of Krishna, right? So again, those statements are also for lazy people. Lazy. Because if you see Srila Prabhupada, he never emphasized any of these things so much. Rather, he said, you be a devotee every day. Every day. 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year, you be a devotee. Right? So such statements are for lazy people who are not interested in dedicated Krishna consciousness. So somehow that you pull them into Krishna consciousness. Okay. Krishna runs the biggest advertisement industry. We learn from him how to advertise. David Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace. I think the question I wanted to ask, the Mataji has asked already, and I'm satisfied with the answer which you have given, and it's really great. I want to use this opportunity to thank you so much from deep of my heart. Thank you so much for assisting me about what the incident which happens. It has really given me a great lesson, and it has really released me a lot. So thank you so much, and thank you for doing this class. Though I'm not catching up a lot, but it's really helping. So thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah. We are taking your promise. We'll see you again in the next batch next year.
Yes, of course, I will. Because I'm trying to make arrangements. Maybe I will move from this place to another place, because my work takes a lot of my time, and it's very, very difficult work, because I work with metals, and every time I come home broken, so I'm trying to make another arrangements to move to another country or something like that. So which will be more easy for me to have a lot of time.
All right. Thank you, Prabhu. Wish you all the best in that. Vrindarani Mataji.
What is the difference between Sakama Karma Yogi and Karma Kanda person? You mentioned that Karma Yogi has knowledge of Atma, but I need example to understand.
Karma Kanda means that person follows Vedic scriptures, but has not yet started linking with the Supreme by giving something in return, It's only on the receiver's end. Let me just go to God to receive, get. Just take out from God. But no sense of gratitude, no sense of love, that let me also offer some seva to Krishna, let me do something for Krishna, let me do something in that way. No, just I want. Karma Kandi. And they're more interested in worshipping demigods. They're not interested in worshipping Krishna so much. But when that person starts worshipping Krishna, then that Karma Kandi transforms into a yogi because of Krishna factor. Just because he has moved to worshipping Krishna, becomes a yogi. Now the connection with the divine has started. So still the attitude is of receiver only. Then I want to get. Sakam, right? A lot of desires are there. I want to get. That attitude is there. But because that person is also connected to Krishna and thinking of giving little in return, starts making progress to the next realm, which is Nishkama. Slowly it happens. It takes a lot of time. It's a very gradual thing. It doesn't just happen overnight. It takes a long time. It may take lifetimes to come to that Nishkama attitude or mentality. Fine. Okay. Now, then how do we speed up the process? You speed up the process by taking association of Vaishnavas who are on a higher level. And then they will, pull you or draw you to that higher level. They will push you lovingly that, please, sacrifice more, try a bit harder, and go to the next level. They will do that. They'll provide encouragement. If they don't do that, and we are going to just go at our own speed, we'll be very slow. Things will be moving very slow. There will be a lot of stagnation in spiritual growth. So Vaishnavas, they do a great job of pushing us on. Fine, it's time now, 3 o'clock. So we had few students who wanted to share their realizations about their study in Unit 1. Those who want to leave can leave, but we'll give opportunities to those students to speak. There are only 3 or 4 of them actually. So we'll not take much time, and each student will get 3-4 minutes to express, right? So we'll call those students. Let's hear from you all, how you managed to cover up the Unit 1. And with that, others can take inspiration for the next unit. Okay. We have 4 names. Anju Mataji is there, but I think she's not speaking today. She could not prepare. Then we have next, who was next? Yes, Hanit Mataji is there. Then we had Paramita Ghosh Mataji, and we have Usha Mataji, right? Did I forget anyone's name? I think I mentioned all. If I forgot, you can raise your hand and notify me. Okay, so we'll start with Hanit Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Hare Krishna to everybody. I may not be able to express my emotions the way David Prabhu did, but my most sincere, heartfelt gratitude to you, Prabhuji, for conducting the course the way you've been conducted. And I take this opportunity to also congratulate all the devotees who've been sincerely attending all the classes and asking all the right questions, which is so important. So the first question, Prabhuji, was that in what ways the course has benefited me in my life so far? Well, in this course, I get the privilege of associating with the devotees, who are by far much more advanced than me. So in their association, I get to cultivate Krishna consciousness in me, and I get the desire to serve Krishna, which is so important. And most importantly, we are all learning from the right source. We are learning from a pure advanced Vaishnava and the purest source that we could have all asked for. So because of this, along with the information and the learning, it is a transformation that it's bringing in me. Because by nature, I'm a very passionate person. I'm very aggressive. I have no humility and tons of other defects. But, the first step towards transformation is to identify the defects. And that is what this course is, helping me to do. Because with each class, I reflect that, okay, where am I on this journey? And then I realize I'm still stuck at the starting block. But I pray and I hope that, with everyone's blessings, by the end of this course, I'll take at least one single small step in the right direction of spiritual advancement. Then the second question was that what are the challenges I faced and how did I win over them to have continued in this course? Well, as far as challenges are concerned, frankly speaking, my main challenge is time. Because with professional and personal responsibilities that I have, and since last 1 year, it's also the spiritual services that I have voluntarily taken up along with the Bhakti Shastri course. So multitasking has become my closest bestie. And yes, sleep does get compromised, but as of today, I have no answer to that. And I just pray and hope there'll be some divine enlightenment to get a solution to this. Other than that, there is absolutely no challenges at all. I'm completely loving the course, except for, yes, there are tons of books that I would like to read, but I'm waiting for maybe 48 hours to get added in a 24-hour day. Only then I'll get time to read books, but I hope to get there. And the last question was that how, by my experience, I've overcome many apprehensions. This for me is the most important question, because I still remember, I could not log in for the first introductory session of Bhakti Shastri. And I had messaged Prabhuji that after watching the recording, I was completely humbled. And I felt completely, totally unqualified, because in fact, I had written to you, Prabhuji, that I don't even know what made me dive into this course head on, because I really did not know anything much about Krishna consciousness at that time. And I didn't want to make a fool of myself, because I was just about 9 months into this divine path. But you were very encouraging, Prabhuji, and your words still flash in front of my eyes when you said that, we are all there to support you. In fact, the entire parampara is there to, support. And I take strength from these words every single day, because I still struggle to, develop the right taste. I still struggle to do, my chanting attentively. Yes, it's a struggle, but I am very eager to learn, very, very eager. Now, as far as Shastra is concerned, I decided that even if I don't understand and, I am not able to kind of make out the word-to-word meaning of whatever I learn, but I completely, place trust in the knowledge that the way we take a medicine and we don't know the chemical composition of that medicine, but we trust that it will work on us. And that's what I trusted on. I trusted that every week of almost 300 minutes of nectar that we hear from you, Prabhuji, will nourish and purify our souls. It's definitely a lot of hard work, not only in terms of time, but also in terms of the new language, in terms of patience. But to reach a quarter mark in our long journey already feels very rewarding. So am I qualified to do this course? Definitely, that's a big no. In fact, if you were to ask an example of mercy of the Supreme Lord and of a pure Vaishnava, then it's me being in this course, because that's what mercy is all about. So I take this opportunity to credit His Grace madhusudanavisnudas Prabhuji for bringing this course into my life. And please kindly forgive me for any mistakes that I may have committed in the course of my interaction, because many a times in the excitement of participating, I end up putting my foot in the mouth and like a neophyte devotee. But I'm still learning. As I said earlier, I'm very, very eager. And I feel that all the years that I have lost in the wilderness of material world, I need to make it up for that at supersonic speed. So Vansha Kalpadrubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patyatanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. Please forgive my rambling, and thank you for having patience with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your heart. Okay, next we have, Anshu Mataji, you raised your hand. Are you still ready to go?
Yeah, Prabhu, I would like to say something. Dandrat Pranam to you and to all the devotees over there. So the thing is that, I'm not I'm a science graduate, and I always speak to the point, and only I don't have any language qualification. And so that was the very big apprehension for me joining the course, because I know that I can't write the essays and all elaborately and properly. So that was the thing which I had brought into your notice before joining the course and all. And so, but later on, I came to know that you always reach to the level where you are according to your devotion, according to your bhakti, and according to your level of that. So that brought me like, okay, whatsoever, like, TK, even if I don't excel in that part, that's okay. So I'll have to try more. And then once I get that knowledge, like if this knowledge sinks into me, then definitely the words will also come to me, like I will be able to express them very well. So this was the apprehension, and then I got sorted it out like this way, through your teachings itself. And the most important thing is that when I joined this, and the way you started teaching Bhagavad-gita, it is just miraculous, like elaborate, dealing with each and every shloka, and explaining in such a way that we can relate to these in our and apply these, and improve our devotional service, whichever we are trying, like when you do the chanting, then control of the mind. So these all things come in our mind. Okay, it will go. It's Chanchala Vimana Krishna, but it will go, and then you have to bring it back. So these all things, they resonate while we are doing the chanting. And when I'm trying to read, and then if I'm not getting anything, I keep myself, okay, it's okay, you read it again later on, maybe after some time you develop a taste, and then you will get it. So I'm not having that guilt feeling like that, okay, what is going to happen? So this is what I just wanted to share. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and Dandrat Pranam to everybody, and being so patiently listening to me. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you to hear from you. And we now will invite Paramita Ghosh, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Yes, Prabhuji, I would like to say that as a course benefit, the first one is that I'm able to read and understand Gita, because before doing this course, I have tried many a times to read and understand Gita, but it was not possible for me. though the book was with me, but I needed that in-depth knowledge, that guidance. So as I have got your guidance, so it is now possible for me to understand that what is written in Gita. And also this course had helped me a lot to understand that why I'm existing here. I mean, it helped me in the self-realization and to become calm in certain situations. So this is like a larger than life experience for me with these great devotees. And I faced many challenges while doing this course. The main challenge is the time management. The time management and the workload, and sometimes the health issues, they are there. But lack of interest, I never faced the lack of interest because of this devotee association. And the course itself is organized so nicely, and because of the experienced guidance, like a nice teacher like you, and other issues like family responsibilities, it was there. And regarding the apprehensions, I'd like to say that I had this fear that I would not be able to understand Gita, but now I'm able to do it. So I'd like to thank you and all these devotees present here. Thank you very much, and Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay, last, Usha Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
And to all my fellow devotees also. Prabhuji, I would just like to say that right from the beginning, I used to have intense desire to, read Gita, but I never ever got the courage because, people would say, you read the one, which is by Gorakhpur, Gita Press, or you read this one. So I was all confused, and once or twice I tried to pick up Gita Press, but somehow just read half a page and I just left it. But I think it was, this path was paved by Lord Krishna for me because of this intense desire. So my superannuation happened about 3 years ago for my active service, and the lockdown was very blissful for me, absolutely. So after superannuation, you don't know what to do, but Krishna had already paved the path for me. So we got some idea of we got all connected to the ISKCON Gurugram temple online, and we got some comprehensive little understanding, though during the weekend we used to complete one chapter. So it was very fast since I was just, handled the Gita for the first time in my life. First time I ever opened Bhagavad-gita as it is. We did the Hindi version, but everything was just flying. Some bits and pieces I tried to understand, but I was always looking out for a detailed course like yours. And I got connected to one of my Matajis in this group. She was very kind, and she found out and she told me, but I had already missed 1 month, 12 lessons when I joined this. But somehow I had some apprehensions, but there was Krishna. I think he just pushed me into this course. Even if you're 1 month late, so what? You just join. So I joined the course. But I had a lot of challenges in life, and even now, the health issue in my family was my own husband. Suddenly, he had to go through a major surgery just about 1.5 months back before I joined your course, and that required very, very frequent visits to the hospital, which would take my entire day. In fact, going to the hospital is far off, and we all know what the waiting time and things like that. Then during the course, there was little illness of my relatives. And since I was working in an office, so a lot of official, tidbits I keep on getting, being on committees or something like that. And of course, the challenge of catching up with 1 month BSc lost. And when I saw the videos, I said, it's 2.5 hours, and I am not that fast. I will not say I not blame my mind, but after a certain growing up, you do little bit slow down, but I still not blame that at all. So somehow all these challenges, since we were connected to, or I was connected to Krishna consciousness about a year back during lockdown, so that gave me a lot of mental strength and lot of strength even on the physical platform, because when you have to do something mentally, you have to even engage your mind in that, and plus a lot of your physical activities are also required, a lot of running around. I did manage to do, but I would just come in short because Prabhuji said only 4 minutes. So I'll just come like, how did I try to regulate these challenges, which of course are still there. One is that I never used to offer prasadam to Lord Krishna, and every time we were told, no, you must, give bhog, make prasadam. So somehow that's a different story, how Lord Krishna came to my house. He came on his own. I did not go anywhere, but somebody just passed on to me because she was a little elderly, not able to look after. So she told me that you have to look after now. And I said, how do I make prasadam? What prasadam? Then slowly I learned with the association of devotees and Prabhujis like you, who really guided my life. So whatever we eat, I'll tell you that I used to use a lot of onion, garlic, which have been done away with. My family, I must tell you that I belong to a Arya Samaj family where I'm married, though I belong to a Sanatan Dharma family, my parents' place, but they don't believe in this Vigraha Puja at all, and they only, anything that they want to celebrate is only through Havan. So you can see the cultural difference which where I am, situated right in. But however, Krishna helped me to even start offering prasadam, and to the extent till I don't offer Krishna, my entire family waits. That only after mama or my, my husband, all my family members, they will eat. Then mama will only, after making prasadam, after offering, then only we will get prasadam. So whoever gets, it's all prasadam in my house. But I do forget sometimes. Suppose if something comes from outside, so I forget to offer it to Krishna. I eat it and then I said, sorry, I have forgotten to offer you. Forgive me. I'm a a downtrodden soul. Another thing is that sleep. Earlier when I was going to office.
You have to
2 minutes. 2 minutes. So earlier when I used to
getting short of time, so you can come to the point.
Yeah. So I used to get up, 4:30 was a very big challenge for me. But now I have cut down on my sleep, and automatically Krishna wakes me up around, 3:15, 3:30. So I have advanced waking up, say about an hour or so. So recreation, no TV, no newspapers, and works, whatever work that I do, whether it is domestic, office, whatever, all of us pick up more or less. And it's everything to be done in, in Krishna consciousness. How I have also met is that the association of devotees has been extremely helpful to me. Whether any challenge that I am meeting, which I'll be meeting even in the future. And Prabhuji, I would really like to thank you and offer my obeisances to you that you've been really kind, and you have really encouraged that when I called you up and I said, what? Saying doesn't matter, you try your best, you will try and make up. And it is, your course is so well structured, and it is just so motivating that how 2 hours fly when we sit on Saturday, Sunday, we don't even come to know. We think the lecture should go on and on and on. It's not a lecture, but my understanding is not that much in Gita as yet, but I'm struggling. I'm trying my best. So I am not attached to the result. but I will do my best, whatever. I'll put my best foot forward to whatever understanding that I have. And I will seek your blessings in the end and Lord Krishna's mercy to help me to continue with the Bhakti Shastri course, which he has literally forced me to, take up this. And as I said, the mind is chanchalam manam, so it's like a child, it wants to, it keeps on flickering, it wants to go and do various activities. So when we learn, if it goes anywhere, just bring it back. So as a child, if you train the mind that you have to get back to this activity, as even we have learned in chanting. But chanting is absolutely very, very purifying, because even first when we started, even one round was very, very difficult for me. But now, since Lord Krishna has trained us and he wakes me up in the morning, even if I just put the alarm off and I, like to have 5 minutes nap, but then somehow I feel that some hand comes and, over my head and says, come on, Usha, wake up now. It's time for you. You'll get late. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you for listening to me patiently. And I need all your help to please carry on with all my devotees who are with me. This little downtrodden soul, you have to bail me out, because I don't know, a little limitation with my physical because of the age or whatever, but I try my best. I need all your support and all your blessings, and above all, Krishna's mercy on me. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for sharing your heart out. We thank all the devotees, and next time we expect to hear from others. Tomorrow is the exam day for those who are giving exam. For others, it's holiday. So, good day for both anyway. And on next Saturday also, for those who are giving exam day, and others holiday. From Sunday, we'll start our Units 2, Chapter 7 of Bhagavad-gita, a new section called Bhakti Yoga. See you tomorrow for the exam. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai.